This is the first of 3 videos about the PronSci phonemic charts for English. I'll be talking about the layout of the charts rather than about how we suggest you use them, which is covered in other materials. In this first video, I'll introduce the charts for British and American English. The charts come in both black and white and in colour. There's a design for those varieties of English which follow a rhotic pronunciation model, like American English, as in the top charts, and another design for those varieties of English that follow a non-rhotic model, like British English at the bottom. In black and white, there are designs for self-study on the left, and designs with bolder characters which are better adapted for hanging on a classroom wall on the right. What do we think teachers need from a phonemic chart? Firstly, we need a way of referring to sounds without having to say them ourselves. This is essential if we don't want our students to drop into trying to copy us, i.e. into listen and repeat or something similar. Secondly, we need an inventory of the sounds of a language. A full inventory of sounds is essential, of course, but it does need to be pedagogically motivated. The way that we analyse English for teaching pronunciation doesn't have to be the same as the way that a phonetician might analyse it. His or her priorities and concerns are not necessarily the same as ours. Thirdly, we would like a chart to be like a map, showing the various relationships between sounds. Most charts make some attempt to do this for consonants, and then they arrange the vowels based on acoustics. Our charts clearly show articulatory relationships for both consonants and vowels. Fourthly, we want a chart to be a way of pointing sounds and sequences of sounds, i.e. words and phrases, effectively in the classroom. And fifthly, we want our English chart to reveal the dynamics of stress and reduction in words, because these are two features of English pronunciation that are intrinsic to words and that students struggle with. On the right, you can see some phonemic charts produced by other people. From top to bottom, they're by Adrian Underhill, the British Council, and Scott Thornbury. These help to illustrate one of the distinctive design decisions we took with the PronSci charts. These other designs more or less arrange the sounds to fill the space available on the paper. In other words, they have a regular pigeonhole type design, with the sounds slotted into a regular grid. This is very efficient in terms of space, but there are 3 prices to pay for the overall neatness of the result. The PronSci chart is ordered, but as you can see, it also has spaces between the sounds. We make use of the rows and columns to draw out common features across sounds, but we also group sounds together into families using proximity and extra spacing. Here, for example, you can see 4 families of vowels, which we'll talk about in the third video. And here are 4 families of consonants, with extra space separating the families out. I'll explain the layout of the consonants in the second video. There's another benefit to not packing all the sounds into pigeonholes. It makes it easier for teachers and students to navigate around a chart. It's easier to become familiar with the positions of the sounds in the chart on the left, and to then locate the sounds when needed. And the third benefit is that when you're using a chart in class and getting your students to point out sounds, the landing area for the pointer is better defined on the PronSci chart than in the pigeonhole designs. In a pigeonhole design, like the one on the right, if a student touches a sound near the edge of its box, it can be hard for students at the back of the class to know which sound has been pointed. But in the chart on the left, if a student touches anywhere inside a rectangle, there's no ambiguity because the rectangle has space around it. We're now going to look at the overall design. As the first division of the space available, the charts show vowels at the top, consonants in the lower half of the chart, and reduced vowels, the schwa family of sounds, at the bottom. This division shows students immediately that the 3 are going to be distinct in some way, and the use of dots for the schwa family, rather than rectangles, reinforces this. If a teacher wants to use the chart in this simple way, she can. But there's a more sophisticated way of using it, but is also available to you. One that captures the 3 possibilities for a syllable in English: that it might be stressed, that it might be unstressed with a full vowel, or that it might be unstressed with a reduced sound. The design achieves this when the top and bottom areas are reconceived, as an area for stressed vowels at the top and for all unstressed vowel sounds at the bottom. These unstressed sounds include both the schwa family of sounds, shown as dots, and full but unstressed vowels, which can be pointed using the dashed rectangles. We've described the importance of this three-way distinction in other videos. When working on the board, we use the system on the right to characterize syllables. We need to be able to characterize syllables similarly when working with a phonemic chart, but we don't want to do this by using phonetic marks. This is an enlargement of the bottom section of the chart, showing the dashed rectangles more clearly. They're the same shape as the rectangles above, and can be filled with whatever vowel sound is needed. Here are two examples of how the dots and dashed rectangles are used. Take a word like windy. The first vowel will be pointed in the top part of the chart, because it's in the stressed syllable, and the second vowel will be pointed as shwi in the bottom section for unstressed sounds. If we take window, the first vowel is stressed and is therefore again pointed in the top part of the chart. The second vowel is again pointed in the bottom section, but this time we use one of the dashed rectangles, because the sound O is a full but unstressed vowel, not a reduced one. The teacher can indicate the O sound in the top section if it's necessary to identify the vowel, for example when the word is first introduced, but points the vowel in the dashed rectangle at the bottom. In summary, for all stressed vowels, accented or not, we use a mark above and before the syllable when working on a whiteboard, and point the vowels in the upper section of the chart. We identify full but unstressed vowels by putting a tremor below them on the board, and they're pointed in the lower section of the chart using a dashed rectangle. For reduced sounds, members of the schwa family, we use a dot below them on the board, and they're also pointed in the lower section of the chart, this time using the dots. But again, if you want to use the chart just for its inventory of phonemes, that's possible too. Just ignore these advanced features. If you'd like to find out more about the chart design, you can download detailed notes and copies of the charts themselves from the link below. The black and white charts are free of charge and can be printed at any size. And at this website, you can also see the colour version of the charts. These are intended for use with complementary spelling and word charts. The colour code runs across all three types of chart. The benefits of colour are twofold. Firstly, that students are not having to engage with yet another set of symbols, but with colour instead, which many find more intuitive and appealing. Secondly, they see words written in their usual way, spelled in Roman letters, but now colour-coded to make their pronunciation clear. In the next two videos, we'll look at the arrangement of the consonants and then that of the vowels on the charts.